Welcome to our deep dive into the life of E.J. Gold.
Okay.
We'll be exploring a photobiography that spans his prolific career.
All right.
You know, when you hear the term Renaissance man,
Right.
you might think of Da Vinci or Benjamin Franklin.
Sure.
But after you learn about Gold, I think he'll jump to the top of that list.
Yeah, that's a great comparison.
Uh,
What strikes me about Gold is that he was a master synthesizer.
oh, yeah.
He absorbed influences from so many different fields
Mm-hmm.
and blended them in a way that was truly unique.
Absolutely. And it all starts with his upbringing.
Okay.
Imagine growing up in a home where science fiction luminaries,
Right.
like Isaac Asimov, are frequent guests.
Wow.
Gold's father, Horace L. Gold, was the founding editor of Galaxy Science Fiction magazine.
Oh, wow.
So that wasn't just a dream.
Right.
It was his reality.
It's almost like he was raised in a living, breathing science fiction novel.
Yeah.
Talk about an incubator for creativity.
Yeah.
I think those early encounters with imaginative worlds really shaped his artistic sensibilities.
Yeah.
You can see those influences throughout his
Sure.
career, even when he's working in seemingly unrelated fields.
Sounds like that famous quote from Arthur C. Clarke.
Oh, yeah.
Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
Right.
I wonder if Gold, surrounded by these visions of the future,
Okay.
felt that same blurring of lines between science and art.
That's an astute observation.
Yeah.
And don't forget his mother, Eve Page.
Right.
She wasn't just passively observing this sci-fi salon.
Right.
She was a talented artist in her own right,
Uh-huh.
even winning awards for her Limoges porcelain painting.
She must have played a huge role in nurturing his artistic talent.
Yeah.
I read that she enrolled him in the children's art classes at the Museum of Modern Art in the 1950s.
And that's not just any after-school art program.
Right.
Think about it. Gold was learning alongside the children of other famous artists
Right.
living in New York at the time.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that environment? The conversations, the critiques, the shared passion for creation.
And he even had his first art show at MoMA through that program.
Wow.
He was just a child at the time.
That's a testament to both his innate talent and the nurturing environment he was fortunate to have.
Yeah.
The perfect storm of nature and nurture
Yeah.
converging to create this artistic prodigy.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
But Gold wasn't just a one-trick pony.
Right.
He dabbled in no scratch that he excelled in.
Okay.
So many different artistic forms.
Wow.
Theater, music, sculpture, writing.
Yeah.
He seemed to have an insatiable thirst for creative exploration.
This is where the Renaissance man comparison really resonates.
Yeah.
He wasn't afraid to dive into any field that sparked his curiosity. It
Right.
wasn't about mastering one thing.
Right.
It was about the joy of exploration, of connecting seemingly disparate ideas
Yeah.
and seeing where those connections led him.
He studied under masters like Rico Lebrun,
Okay.
who emphasized classical techniques in drawing. Right? But then Gold immerses himself in the abstract expressionist movement.
Wow.
Spending time at the Cedar Bar,
Mm-hmm.
rubbing shoulders with the likes of Franz Kline and Willem de Kooning.
Wow.
It's like he was soaking up all these different styles, these different ways of seeing the world,
Right.
and synthesizing them into something entirely new.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It wasn't about choosing one style over another. It was
Yeah.
about absorbing the essence of each
Right.
and letting those influences percolate through his own unique artistic vision.
Yeah.
It's almost like he was building a mental library
Right.
of techniques and perspectives that he could draw upon whenever inspiration struck.
And then, as if things weren't interesting enough,
Okay.
he moves to Los Angeles and his life takes another wild turn.
All right.
He lands a job as an undercover specialist for management safeguards.
A real-life spy.
Yeah.
He was learning about surveillance and encryption skills that were highly sought after in the 1960s. It's almost too perfect.
Uh-huh.
The artist-turned-secret agent.
Right.
You have to wonder how those experiences, that exposure to the clandestine world, might have informed his later work.
You can't make this stuff up.
Right.
But even with this foray into espionage,
Okay.
the art world was still calling to him.
Yeah.
He enrolled in the Otis Art Institute, but ended up being expelled.
Wait, what
Yeah.
expelled?
Yeah.
What happened there?
Well, from what I gathered, he was a strong advocate for photography as a legitimate art form,
Oh.
which, believe it or not, was a controversial stance at the time.
Wow.
Some of the faculty just couldn't handle it.
This is where we see Gold's independent spirit.
Right.
His willingness to challenge the status quo
Uh-huh.
really coming to the forefront.
Yeah.
He wasn't afraid to stand up for what he believed in,
Right.
even if it meant going against the grain.
He was pushing boundaries, even if it got him into trouble.
Yeah.
But it didn't stop him from capturing the energy of the 1960s art scene.
Oh.
He even worked at the Players' Ring Gallery,
Uh-huh.
photographing the controversial play Macbird,
Okay.
a satirical take on Shakespeare's Macbeth,
Wow.
that dared to reimagine Lyndon B. Johnson as the main character.
Think about the audacity of that.
Yeah.
It speaks to Gold's fascination with pushing boundaries,
Yeah.
both artistically and socially.
Right.
He was drawn to the unconventional, the subversive,
Yeah.
the things that made people think and question their assumptions.
And he didn't just limit himself to the visual arts.
Okay.
His connections to the music scene were extensive.
Right.
This is where things get really fascinating.
Right.
So buckle up, because we're about to dive into Gold's friendship with the one and only Harry Nilsson.
Now, that's a pairing I wouldn't have expected.
Right.
I'm eager to hear how their paths crossed. So tell me, how did this unlikely duo, the visual artist and the musical genius?
Gold's work as a photographer
Yeah.
for bands like the Turtles and the
Yeah.
Jefferson Airplane placed him right at the heart of the 1960s music scene.
Oh, wow.
He even spent time at the legendary Gemini Club on Sunset Strip
Okay.
and did some work for Toad Records.
Uh-huh.
That's where he crossed paths with Nilsson.
So it wasn't just a chance meeting.
Right.
It was a convergence of two creative forces
Exactly.
operating within the same sphere
Yeah.
that makes their collaboration on Moonbeam even more intriguing.
They weren't just casual acquaintances.
Okay.
They were kindred spirits who saw the world through a similar lens.
Right.
Whimsical, playful, and always a little bit subversive.
I see.
Nilsson wore Gold's Moonbeam t-shirts constantly, even up until his death.
Really?
It wasn't just a fashion statement.
Right.
It was a testament to their deep friendship
Uh-huh.
and shared artistic vision.
I love those little details that reveal the depth of their connection.
Yeah.
And it wasn't all serious artistic collaborations either.
Right.
You mentioned they had a shared love for the circus.
Oh, yeah. Those photo shoots of them in clown makeup are pure gold.
Wow.
You can just see the joy and mischief in their eyes.
It's great.
It reminds you that even amidst the chaos of the 1960s music scene,
Right.
they never lost their sense of childlike wonder.
It's a great reminder that creativity thrives on playfulness
Yeah.
and a willingness to embrace the absurd.
Right.
But Gold's involvement with the counterculture scene
Yeah.
went beyond music.
Uh-huh.
He was deeply involved with happenings and love-ins,
Right.
even orchestrating media pranks with a group
Yes.
called the Fellowship of the Ancient Mind.
Now, those pranks weren't your typical college dorm shenanigans.
Right.
These were elaborate, well-orchestrated events
Okay.
designed to make a statement.
Wow.
One was called the Great California Earthquake.
What?
Can you imagine the logistics of pulling that off?
What exactly did that entail? I'm having trouble picturing how they could fake an earthquake and actually get media attention.
Well, they didn't actually cause any tremors, thank goodness.
Wow.
But they staged a massive event with fake news reports,
Wow.
staged evacuations, and even planted stories in underground newspapers. It was so convincing
Wow.
that it fooled major news outlets
Oh my God.
like Time and Newsweek.
That's incredible. It speaks to Gold's understanding of media and his ability to manipulate it,
Right.
not for malicious purposes,
Right.
but to spark a conversation,
Yeah.
to challenge people's perceptions of reality.
He was a master of blurring the lines between art and reality, using humor and absurdity to comment on society and culture.
Right.
Another one of their pranks was the Saints' Rights Protest March,
Okay.
which received international coverage.
That's amazing.
It's like he was saying, don't believe everything you see or read, question authority, think for yourself.
And that rebellious spirit,
Yeah.
that willingness to poke fun at the establishment,
Right.
was deeply ingrained in the counterculture movement.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to see how Gold channeled that energy through these media pranks.
Right.
But his journey doesn't stop there.
Right.
He went on to have a diverse and successful career as an entrepreneur.
He had a knack for seeing connections and opportunities that others missed.
Oh, yeah.
He opened a Kung Fu natural foods restaurant
Wow.
inspired by his friendship with Johnny Weissmuller,
Oh,
the Olympic swimmer who played Tarzan.
Right.
It wasn't just about healthy food. It was about creating an experience,
Right.
blending seemingly unrelated concepts
Yeah.
in a way that was both unique and intriguing.
That eclectic approach seems to be a recurring theme in Gold's life.
Right.
He wasn't afraid to try anything, to
Mhm.
experiment, to push boundaries.
Yeah.
It's like he was constantly asking himself, what if?
Right.
And then fearlessly pursuing the answer.
He also ran a series of interesting publishing companies
Okay.
with names like Disgusting Stories,
Wow.
Sick Publications, and
Oh.
Tales of Jehovah, Adam and Eve stories.
Those titles certainly raise an eyebrow.
Yeah.
It seems like he was drawn to the unconventional,
Right.
the taboo, the things that made people uncomfortable.
Right.
Was he trying to shock, to provoke? Or was there a deeper message behind these ventures?
I think it was a bit of both.
Okay.
He definitely enjoyed pushing buttons and challenging societal norms.
Right.
But there was also a sense of humor,
Uh-huh.
a playful subversion that kept things from being too serious or preachy.
Right.
He wasn't trying to convert anyone.
Oh,
He was just inviting people to see the world through a different lens,
Uh-huh.
to question their assumptions
Right.
about what was acceptable or appropriate.
He was a provocateur, but a playful one.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how he balanced that rebellious streak
Right.
with his other pursuits,
Uh-huh.
like his long-standing friendship with John Lilly,
Right.
the Dolphin Man,
Yeah.
and their work with sensory deprivation tanks.
It's a fascinating juxtaposition, isn't it? On one hand, he's staging elaborate media hoaxes
Right.
and publishing stories with provocative titles. On the other hand,
Right.
he's exploring the depths of human consciousness and pushing the boundaries of scientific inquiry.
Can you tell us a bit more about those sensory deprivation tanks?
Well,
I'm not familiar with Lilly's work in that area.
Lilly was a neuroscientist
Okay.
who was fascinated by the nature of consciousness
Uh-huh.
and the potential of the human mind.
Right.
He invented the sensory deprivation tank as a way to isolate the brain from external stimuli,
Ooh.
creating a state of deep relaxation and introspection.
That sounds intense.
Yeah,
It's almost like a form of meditation taken to the extreme.
exactly.
Wow.
Goldahali co-authored a book called Tanks for the Memories,
Okay.
which detailed their experiences with sensory deprivation.
Mhm.
It's a fascinating exploration of consciousness,
Wow.
perception, and the power of the human mind.
It's like Gold was constantly seeking new ways to expand his understanding of the world,
Yeah.
whether through art science or even pranksterism.
Right.
His curiosity knew no bounds.
And amidst all of these diverse pursuits,
Yeah.
he never stopped creating.
Okay.
He continued to produce art music and books throughout his life.
Wow, that's great.
He even co-founded a jewelry company called Jewels of Ancient Lands,
Okay.
specializing in recreating ancient jewelry using traditional techniques.
That's remarkable. It's as if he saw no separation between these different disciplines,
Right.
art, science, business, spirituality.
Yeah.
It was all part of the same tapestry for him.
And he even contributed to the resurgence of science fiction
Wow.
by founding a publishing company called Gateways Books,
Okay.
which focused on reissuing classic sci-fi works
Mm-hmm.
and producing audiobooks.
Right.
He even illustrated some of these books with his own artwork,
That's cool.
bringing his lifelong love of science fiction full circle.
It's a testament to his enduring fascination with the genre
Yeah.
and his desire to share that passion with a wider audience.
Right.
It's also another example of his remarkable ability to weave together different threads of his life
Right.
into a cohesive and compelling narrative.
He was truly a Renaissance man in every sense of the word.
Yeah.
He defied categorization,
Right.
embracing a multifaceted approach to life
Mm-hmm.
that was as inspiring as it was enigmatic.
That's great.
But the question remains,
Okay.
is it truly possible to be a master of all trades
Right.
in our modern world?
Yeah.
It's a question that's been debated for centuries.
Right.
Can one person truly excel in multiple fields?
Yeah.
Or is it better to specialize and become a master of one?
Gold's life certainly challenges that notion that we have to choose one path and stick to it. He seemed to thrive on exploring new territories, on constantly pushing himself outside of his comfort zone.
It's like you say, why limit yourself?
Yeah.
Why not learn about ancient jewelry making.
Right.
Or explore the potential of sensory deprivation tanks. Or collaborate with a world-renowned musician.
Exactly.
He saw life as this grand experiment.
Right.
And he was always eager to try new things and see where they would lead him.
And that's perhaps his greatest lesson for us.
Yeah.
In a world that often pressures us to specialize,
Right.
to fit into neat categories,
Uh-huh.
Gold reminds us that it's okay to be curious,
Right.
to explore diverse interests,
Yeah.
and to let those experiences cross-pollinate and enrich each other.
He wasn't afraid of being labeled a dabbler or a dilettante.
Right.
He embraced the multifaceted nature of his own being
Yeah.
and showed us that true creativity often lies at the intersection of seemingly unrelated disciplines.
I think there's a real beauty in that approach.
Right.
It's not about mastering every single thing you touch,
Right.
but about allowing yourself to be a lifelong learner, to be open to new possibilities,
Right.
and to find joy in the process of discovery.
He wasn't concerned with achieving singular mastery.
Right.
He was more interested in weaving together a rich tapestry of experiences.
Yeah.
A life that defied easy categorization.
And that, I think, is what makes him so inspiring.
Yeah.
He reminds us that it's okay to be a little messy, to have multiple passions, to not have all the answers.
Right.
It's the journey, the connections we make along the way that truly matter.
So as you reflect on E.J. Gould's extraordinary life,
Okay.
I want to leave you with this question.
Right.
What seemingly unrelated interests do you have?
Right.
What are you curious about?
What connections might you be overlooking?
Yeah.
What would happen if you allowed yourself to explore those intersections, to blend your passions in new and unexpected ways?
Maybe, just maybe, you'll discover a hidden world of creativity and innovation waiting to be unlocked.
Right.
And if you're looking for a little inspiration to get started, check out the show notes for links to Gould's work. Yeah.
You won't be disappointed.
It's a treasure trove of creativity and insight.
Right.
And until next time, remember to embrace the joy of exploration and never stop asking, what if?
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.